Okay, everybody, welcome back. This is Southern Fried Nightmare going on. Of course, you got me, G, here from Southern Fried TCG, and right behind the camera is, of course, Nightmare from Twisted Nightmare Gaming. I will be bringing you a deck profile of my FireHappy deck. It's Jetfire, Private Fire Drive, Raider Trigger Happy. Now, the greatest thing about this is the constant pullback from your scrap pile. Because he gets bold 1 in this mode, but you flip him to alt mode, you have your ability to pull an armor and or utility back to this character and slap it on him, which gives you still your free or your manual upgrade. So it doesn't take away from that, which is really, really good. He does lose 1 attack in this mode, but there's other things that can happen with that. Then, of course, we have Fire Drive. Now, Fire Drive, he every time he attacks, you get that +1 or that draw a card, not +1. And whenever he gets KO'd, he becomes a +3 weapon, and you scrap cards, as many cards from your hand as you want. He gets +1 for each one of those. Absolutely insane. Then, of course, Trigger Happy. Whenever he's in this mode, you don't do anything until you flip to it, but when you flip to this mode, return a weapon from your scrap pile to your hand. Really, really clutch. It's won me so many games, being able to pull back a grenade launcher, even an erratic light, just anything available in that scrap pile that allows me to pull it to hand and slap it on him real quick, or even on Jetfire, Fire Drive. It has won me many, many games.
Sucks in the mirror, though.
And then the biggest thing you'll notice is this is the side you really want to attack with. That Pierce 4, granted he has 1 more attack on the other side, but so what? Pierce 4 is absolutely insane. That's get 4 guaranteed. Yeah, you got to get 2 more oranges, but you'll see how quick and easy that is as we scroll through the battle cards. Alright, we will start with the actions first, and you might notice that a lot of my stuff is alphabeticalized. So here's actions. You have 3 copies of Bolster. Bolster, when one of your characters defends, you may play an armor onto the defender. Now, great, you put a force field on her, you're only going to take 4. You put excuse me, bashing shield, so you bash away their force field or something like that on your defense, so on your next turn you can take them out. It was a really, really great card. Next, we have 2 copies of Incoming Transmission. Of course, that's good for your attacks, and kind of put cards in your hand that you might need or might want, but also putting a double pip orange on top of your deck for your attack. Really, really clutch. Awesome card.
I never see him.
Next, we have 3 copies of Peace Through Tyranny. Now, this card is in here mainly for the double orange pip. It's only been used on random occasions to KO one of my guys. I can do it to Fire Drive. It's not something I'd like to do very often, but it is something that can be done. I really never want to do it to Trigger Happy or Jetfire, but like I said, it's mainly there for the double orange pip.
Derek, yes. Okay.
Next, we have 1 copy of Press the Advantage. Now, it's really good for any of the characters. It can go for Jetfire for the +2 and another Decepticon. Your Fire Drive +2, a Decepticon -2. Even if I'm attacking with Trigger Happy into another Decepticon, I give that other Decepticon to -2. Press the Advantage might be the most broken card in the game, to be truthfully honest. It is highly powerful and, in my opinion, probably should be removed from the game. If not, they need to create an equal card for Decepticons. There lies an issue. But still a great card. I'm going to play it as long as they have it. Next, we have 3 copies of Quartermaster. Now, I had been thinking about putting this into the deck prior, but somebody on version 2.0 of my deck profile, which is on another channel, is
it's on his channel,
yes,
folks. It's on his channel.
It is on Southern Fried TCG. I just recently changed this out, but the 3 copies of Quartermaster. Now, in certain situations, because I could flip him, pull that, or technically I'd have him already flipped, have a superior jetpack on him, play Quartermaster on my turn, flipping him, putting a superior jetpack on him from the Quartermaster, then manually play a Scoundrel's Blaster onto Trigger Happy. Guess what? I'm sitting with a base 4 attack with Pierce 10. Guarantee you I can get up to Pierce 8. I can flip that. That's going to happen, especially with 7 to 8 white pips in the deck. So it's absolutely amazing. Next, we have 2 copies of Ready for Action. Now the ability of this is hoping to get it from Fire Drive and give yourself that 1 extra attack, making yourself somewhat wider, kind of like cars have their untap abilities. The only downfall is they can all do it, however, no pip. That's perfectly fine, I can deal with that. Next, 3 copies of Rollout. Rollout, awesome card, the orange and blue pip. Flip each of your characters from bot mode to alt mode is really essential whenever you're trying to like proc that to be able to do what I was saying about quartermastering 1 over is really, really crucial, because if you have him flip and then you can flip back and then you do your manual flip, he's there and then you can quartermaster him over and it works really, really well. Next, there is 3 copies of Supercharge. I mean, that one's pretty simple, or I wouldn't say simple, it's pretty basic and knowledgeable as far as what it's there for. I mean, you bold 3, orange pip. Of course, I want to attack, I want to hit heavy, I want those extra flips. And then the final action in the deck currently is going to be Treasure Hunt. Scrap the top 4 cards of your deck and put all upgrades scrapped this way into your hand. Now, the biggest key is, considering this is kind of a slightly action-heavy deck because I don't need a bunch of weapons because they're always in the scrap pile, is you got to watch your scrap pile and make sure it is where it counts your weapons, and make sure you know where you need to be. That way you can know that, okay, is it going to be a waste of a treasure hunt, or am I actually probably going to get something? Crazy enough, even with the build of this, 9 times out of 10 when I play treasure hunt in this deck, I end up with 3 to 4 weapons, or 3 to 4 upgrades. It has only failed me once. It's actually pretty great.
That was against me.
Yep.
That was in the mirror match.
Yep. And that was a little depressing. I will say that. That was a little depressing to have it fail me that one time. But
the one time he needed it to win, actually would have won you the game too.
Next, I have 2 copies of Armed Hovercraft. It's great. It's a blue pip, so it takes away from the attacking side. It is nice to hit those on the defense and leave one of my guys sitting with 1 health, because they're just sitting over there, even 2 health or 3 health. That 1 extra blue pip or a couple extra blue pips really helps, because people are over there like, oh, I got this, nothing but orange. Oh man, I'm 1 to 3 shy. Granted, there's Armed Hovercrafts which could do 1 damage to me from them, or 1 shall stand, 1 shall falls, and plasma burst, and all that good stuff. But it forces them to have to play that if they want it, which is fine. Next, we have 2 copies of Bashing Shield. Bashing Shield, orange pip for the attack, green pip so you can pull it back to your hands, and a +1 static defense. Absolutely amazing. But the biggest part about it is, like we said earlier, whenever we go to that bolster move, it is about bashing away somebody's force field or one of their armors or something like that. That way you can get through on your turn. Absolutely amazing. Then we have 2 copies of Energon Axe. Now Energon Axe, blue pip, once again, it is perfectly fine having that Energon Axe in the deck with the blue pip. It's perfectly fine because you get +3 attack and pierce 2. You can only put it on damaged characters, but it becomes absolutely insane, because don't forget, everybody, he has Pierce 4 static. Pierce adds together. If I put this on him because he's hurt, he has Pierce 6. The Scoundrel Blaster gives him Pierce 2 as well. It's only a +2 upgrade, or +1, excuse me. However, it is absolutely just crucial. It goes through. I mean, +2. It is really, really good. Even on one of your Autobots. Any of them, actually. Next,
It's hard to get
as an orange and green pip, we have Enforcement Batons, that +1 static. Orange pip and the green pip, so you can pull it back to your hand. And when you put this on a character, scrap an enemy weapon. It is great for people that run things like Fire Drive, the Duo Charge Electrostatic Photon Cannon, or Private Lionizer, the RS Fire Steel Saber. It's great, because then you're like, okay, I'm just going to slap this on this guy and get rid of your weapon. So, great card. All right. Here, slide that over. And then next, there are a few one-ofs, so here's another one-of. Erratic Lightning, Orange Pip +3, -1. The reason that this is as a one-of and it's unretrievable is finding the room for certain things was a little difficult. I do like it being in here. I could change it out for something else. The biggest issue becomes I don't like the -1 defense between Fire Drive and Trigger Happy. I don't really want to take away from their defense, but there's sometimes where I'm perfectly fine with it. So having that there in a situations where I could just flip Trigger Happy back and in that proper situation pull this back and play it, perfectly fine to have it as a one-of. Next, we have 3 copies of Force Field. Now, of course, Force Field, that's a white pip, and if that character would take more than 5 damage, instead, or if that character would take 5 damage or more, instead, he takes only 4, and you scrap the card. Absolutely great card. And then, of course, being an aggro-based deck, of course, 3 grenade launchers. Upgrade weapon, Orange Pip, +4 attack. After it attacks, you have to scrap it. Perfectly fine with that. That turns him into a 9 base, him into a 7 base, and him into a 7/6 base. Or him into a 8 base on his other side. Like, it gets nasty really quick hitting for those high numbers as a static. And then finally, another blue pip, this one with an orange, or green pip as well for pulling back, Scoundrel's Blaster. Put on Decepticons only, gets +2 attack, Pierce 2. It's one of those situations where I was telling you about freaking stacking up those Pierce and stacking up that attack on Trigger Happy. It is incredible. Now, the final card is Superior Jetpack. This, in my opinion, is what makes this deck so great. Because of Jetfire, you flip that card and you pull that from your scrap pile, attaching it to him, disavowing the fact that you do not have to play a tech research. Great, great thing. Then it adds Pierce 4. Okay, and like I said, you do that to him, and you quartermaster it over to Trigger Happy. Next thing you know, you're swinging for some high, heavy numbers and piercing for probably a minimum of 6 to 8. 6 to 8, I would say minimum. It's a really, really powerful card. That is all for the main deck. I have a few things I'm still working on. Have not exactly fully decided on a set sideboard character. I do have a couple things in the idea for a sideboard. Now, sideboard options is, of course, one more copy of Incoming Transmission, and that's in here for, of course, to have a complete 3 of set. Then I have 3 copies of Improvised Shield. Now, of course, it'd be there for the double orange pip. I don't care about the tough one armor or anything like that. I'd want that. That's why those are in there together. And then I also have another copy of Erratic Lightning. Like I said, not a big fan of the -1, but the +3 and being able to do it in certain situations is really, really good. And then I have another copy of Superior Jetpack. Of course, to make that a 3 of, because I had a couple games where having that Superior Jetpack in the scrap wasn't quite there for me. So maybe the 3rd of, but it's only very rare, so that's why it's only in the sideboard. Next is another Enforcement Batons. If I go up into somebody who's very, very weapon heavy, I might want to add that in there. And then, last but not least, I have one more copy of Armed Hovercraft. That would make it a full set, and it would, because you'll notice ranged, they're all ranged. I can always play those cards. I took it out trying to balance it out off of some slight changes from turning this from version 2.0 to version 2.1. Still an awesome card. Now, with all that said, has been a lot of work. It's still in a process. I do plan on making this thing before end all and be all, that it will become probably version 3.0, maybe even higher, because there's a lot of work. And by that, I do go 1.1, 2. Like it goes step by step by step. So you go from 2.0 to 3.0. That's 10 different versions of this deck. So that tells you right now, I've been through 21 versions of this deck as of right now.
Jesus Christ.
And right now, I think it is right where pretty close to where it needs to be, but we'll see. A lot of new cards are coming in Wave 4 that are going to change it. Outside of that, like I said, I have no character that I haven't figured out for the sideboard. But I do want to speak, if you're still there, still watching, I hope you are. I want to speak about one thing before we change this up. I have started something. I'm still waiting on the reply back. I emailed the local hospital, Arnold Palmer Children's Hospital. I've been working on something for a while. I'm happy to say that I've got it out there. I've got it going. Once I get the responses back from the hospital, I will know more. But the whole thing is to collect common, uncommon, just basic cards and build simple decks for the kids that are in these hospitals. And I'm going to start it off with me and my kids going in there, hopefully teach my kids some lessons too. But go in there and teach the kids that are in the hospital, unable to leave, might even have short lives, unfortunately, and teach them how to play a game, get their minds off of whatever they're going through, make them feel better. And at the end all be all, it still helps them with what is the word, not grammatical, but it will help with grammar, but it helps with understanding the English language. It also helps with understanding or with basic math skills. It's really, really good game for that. It's also planned long term to turn it into other games, Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, versus any game that they might be interested in, but that is long term. It will start just as simply Transformers. If Hasbro and everybody does give me the okay, it will, chances are, end up being called the AllSpark Foundation. I will be going to cons and stuff like that, collecting cards, but as for right now, that is on hold. I just want everybody to know that this is something we are trying for here and hoping to get a response back from the hospital sometime soon, saying that we have a straight go-ahead. With all that being said, thank y'all for watching. Don't forget, Southern Fried Nightmare. And don't forget, hit that like and subscribe button, y'all.